Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 2nd, 2023 Town of Eastchester Architectural Review Board meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and Margaret, would you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Enda McIntyre.
Here.
Laura Raffiani.
Here.
Jennifer Nemisek.
Here.
Silvio Luca.
Here.
And Carlos Garcia-Bo is not able to make the meeting this evening.
Okay, so we have a few minutes back, a few months back on the minutes that we need to approve.
And actually, I was going to say, regardless of the names that are next to them,
Okay.
you can actually
run
all
through it.
approve them,
Okay.
yes.
All righty, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of June 2nd, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of October 6th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the November 3rd, 2022 ARB meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And lastly, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 5th, 2023 ARB meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. So then we can get right on into our new business tonight.
Actually, can you just make an announcement with regard to the adjournment that's on the notes there?
Absolutely. It's on the agenda, right?
No, it's on the yellow page. The
Okay.
yellow, look at the.
Okay,
Right place.
okay.
No, Laura, but still, if you could get the orange page, that's what
Right,
that's.
this is my same thing, doesn't matter, okay. Application, just FYI, if you're here for the application 22-47, which is 5 Ray Place, that application has been adjourned to the March 2nd, 2023 ARB meeting and will not be heard this evening. I don't want you to stick around and expect that to happen, and it's not going to happen.
Thank you.
All righty? And so then, we have new business. First up is application 22-38, which is 54 Stratford Road.
Good evening, everyone. Long time no see. I hope everyone's doing well. Mike Finelli, I'm the architect for the project at 54 Stratford Road. John and Daniela Chiarello, the owners, cannot be with us this evening, but they are at home watching, so hi. So we went to zoning board in November. We had to get a couple of variances for the existing house for what we're proposing. The home itself actually sits inside of the side yard setback, the front yard setback, and then we were also proposing a pool in the back. So we went and got variances to basically allow us to build on the existing footprint, just because it was in the setback. We weren't encroaching any further the front and rear. There is a screened-in porch here at the rear of the house, which we are framing over to put another bedroom. So because we're also increasing the level of nonconformity there, we sent that past zoning as well. And we did receive all of those variances at the January, I think it was the 5th meeting, 4th?
January 5th.
5th, at the 5th meeting. So we received those variances. We also asked for FAR, for variance for FAR. The reason we needed an FAR variance, the way the house is currently framed, the second floor rather, is framed off of a 6-foot floor plate. So all of the square footage that sits at the perimeter of the existing house as it sits today needed to be counted. And because it wasn't counted per the zoning code, just lifting that roof straight up and setting that new roof at 8 feet set off another variance that we had to get approvals. This house is comparable to the house that sits directly to the left of it, which is actually 200 square feet larger than our house. So as far as precedence goes, We're not building beyond and larger than the scope of the neighborhood, and we're literally sitting on top of the existing footprint. To start speaking about the architecture, we're going to rip out all the windows. We're going to put in new black casement windows, basically building more in the design style that is popular, right now.
Is?
Wow. This
I just want to
this
know what
house
you're
is
going
just
for.
modern colonial. That's
Okay.
the take. That's the hope that we're going for. We are putting in some timbering across the eaves. That's why you're looking at some of the wood that's in there and stained. The owners are very adamant about doing a white house. They just want it very simple, very clean, very modern. So we're going to be doing white stucco across the front in this area here. And the rest of the house is going to be hardy plank, just a flat hardy plank, again, white. All the trim is going to be AZEC. The timbering is going to be a Benjamin Moore stain. It's a teak color. I brought some samples with me if you guys want to see it. It's a brochure. The roof will be black. They will be redoing the driveway because the driveway is all broken. So again, just giving the house a fresh, clean, more modern look, but basically staying on the existing footprint that's there. I can keep going, but I'm sure you guys have questions, so I'm happy to see if I can answer some of your questions, and then we'll see where that goes.
On the teak areas that you indicate, I guess that, or not, I'm sorry, it's stained teak, but it is cedar, correct? Is that?
The teak is the color,
Right, so,
but it's cedar siding because it's outdoors. We want to make sure it lasts for a long time, and it will be stained.
okay, so that's something that will need maintenance though, right? Like-
Yes, unfortunately, that's the one thing that will need maintenance. I spoke to them about that, but they like the look, they like the idea of having some wood and a little bit more of a natural material because it is so white and it'll be pretty stark. They want some colors, some natural colors to pop.
Sylvia, did you have some questions on that or on that?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Please,
The colonnade that you added to the left of the portico,
yes.
I'm thinking that should be cedar as well, and on your floor plans, it does show cedar.
So it's funny, we had it originally as cedar. The owner wanted to tone it back a little bit. So I guess I should explain the colonnade. Right now, there's an existing overhang at the second floor, so we don't want to get rid of it. So the thought was, let's leave the brick facade that's at the front of the house, and we're going to build on the colonnade and kind of
Right, yeah.
apply it to it. The hope, my hope, is that it all gets stuccoed and all becomes layers of facade, and you'll see the brick kind of kick back. And then with shadow lines and then hopefully some lighting that we're going to do in the soffit itself, I believe that'll be enough to differentiate the colonnade from the rest of the house. It's not a non-negotiable term. If you think the cedar would look better, I originally had it that way,
Actually looked at the elevation first,
the drawn elevation.
the 3D drawing,
Oh, okay.
and then I opened the floor plans, and I was like, in my mind, I said two things. That dormer, in a sense, that you have to the right,
This guy.
that you have the bottom stucco.
Yep.
That, I think that should totally be not stucco. It should be A or B, like the whole element should be stucco or hardy plank,
Clapboard.
or even a third material. Let's say it's all made out of PVC, like
Okay.
2 panels below the window, it's all panelized. Because it really looks
see
like,
that.
right now, it looks like there was a stucco balcony, and so, and you added something above it.
I see what
It's
you're
not.
saying, yeah. That wasn't
Right?
the intention, but yeah,
And
you're
then
right.
and then again, when I go back to the cedar portico, I was like, and I saw the colonnade you added, I was like, oh, that would be nice if it's all cedar. And then I looked to open your floor plans, and then it originally said it was cedar.
Yeah, and we changed it.
Yeah. So,
No,
my-
that's okay.
my 2 cents.
I think the point is either you do it all the same or you don't. I agree with this 100%, because now, it's like everything, right? You look at it 10 times, you don't see it, but after you saying it, I could see how someone could look at that and say that was a balcony that they enclosed. That wasn't really what I was going for. So I would be okay with just running the clapboard straight down. I think it'll look nice.
And it could be clapboard, hardy plank, it could be hardy
Yeah,
shake.
right.
If you want to make it a little bit different. but not stucco and
I got you. I tend to lean away from doing 3, 4, 5 materials. Once you start doing it, it might be too much, but I agree with you in the sense that I think either the shake or maybe even just the panel, I'll run it by the owner and see what they say. As far as the cedar goes in here, I'm not opposed to it. You know, I could go either way with it. Like I said, I clearly designed it that way initially. So I think it was actually because of the last rendering that I had that we decided to pull it off.
that's only my opinion. I think
Right.
actually the colonnade and the cedar would look a lot nicer, because it just
It'll
ties.
read right
It
across.
ties in the portico
Yeah,
as well.
it'll read right across.
The other thing was the seaming on the
Yeah,
cedar.
well, I mean, that's just a rendering. What I was saying earlier was
Looks
that.
flat.
No, well, the portico, it's
It
not gonna be
looks like
it's
it's
not gonna
one
be like
piece.
that.
It's
It's gonna
not
be
gonna be
almost
one
a
piece.
column with a
I
reveal.
overheard you guys talking about that, but that's why
Okay.
I went right to the questions. In the rendering, unfortunately, renderings are a great thing, but you can't necessarily always control every last detail that's going into it. And here it looks like a sheet of plywood, but that's not the intention.
Because that arch piece is gonna probably.
It'll be
Be
broken
proud
up,
of
well,
the
very similar to
columns.
what's going on here. There will be some banding, and it looks like one flat piece if someone were to render it, but there are some breaks and seams and things of that nature. So I can break that up further.
Do you have a sample of the stone veneer that you're going to be using? Because it looks very gray against very orange.
The
So it
one-
looks hot and cold. So
I
like, is there
didn't
going to
bring
be
one
any?
with me, but it's, that's the one thing I didn't bring, and I apologize. My fault. It's just gonna be a standard square cut stone veneer, nothing crazy.
But is it going to have any warm tone in it to pick up on that cedar?
It will. Typically, the stone that I've been choosing, from San Marco Stone, that's where we usually get our stone from, it's got gray, some blues, there's even veining of orange, like that rust color that's in there. So for the most part, it's 90% gray, but yes, it's not just a flat monotone gray. There will be some coloring to it. And again, my apologies, it's the one thing I left in the office.
Also, when you, going back to the wood areas, are there any types of materials similar to like, you know the Capital One Bank on Route 22, right by Greens? It used to be Mrs. Greens.
Okay.
They put those panels up, and it's wood, but they have some sort of miracle finish on that thing, or maybe it's synthetic, I don't know.
Synthetic.
But
It's synthetic.
it's great because it never changed.
Yeah.
It looks good from the beginning, and it never changed. Is there anything like that in trim, that materials like that
I
can be
wasn't
used?
looking for something like that, but I'm
Okay.
sure I can dig around. Let's
Just
say
to kind of
yes, I
make
know there's
the-
something out there.
Just to kind
guaranteed.
of make that whole maintenance thing, that,
Kinda go away.
yeah, because it's a shame when people do, want that look, and I completely understand it, but
I
when it,
understand.
It's gonna be a yearly
Yeah,
issue.
it's gonna
You have
fade,
to-
I understand.
You have to poly it every year, otherwise the stain's gonna disappear as well.
Yeah, I got you.
But I'm not really sure, I mean, there's PVC products like decking, like Trex, that, they have boards.
Well, there's also sheet material that they sell.
Sometimes it kind of has
it has that
fake look.
Yes, it
Yeah.
kind of
Right. It's
polyester
flat
looking.
looking.
Then also, how do you attach it? Unless you have clips from the back, sometimes you have
Right.
to screw through the face, you can see the screws. But I can look into it, I can see if
Well,
there's something.
it's just a suggestion, just to get away from the maintenance.
can run it past
It's a beautiful
the owner.
look. I like the wood, but the introduction of the nice bit of warmth to it. My other thing was, when I looked at the original, the as-is photos, I noticed that the home had a beautiful slate roof,
It
and
did,
that is gone.
it's gonna be gone.
Is there any way of maybe even doing a synthetic slate on the roof? I know it's kind of an in-between price.
Unfortunately, because of the cost to replace the slate, it's not something that's in the owner's budget because of everything else they're doing. Also, it's going to add another layer of gray and it'll make the house look washed out. So the idea of putting the black on there is to kind of put a cap on the house.
Well, you can get a pretty dark synthetic slate roof for sure.
You can.
Yeah.
Like I said, the initial thought was because it's going to make the house look washed out. They weren't big fans of it, and then when they started getting numbers back, they really weren't big fans of it.
Real slate for sure is really costly, but
Yeah.
it's a shame that
We
it
actually
has
looked
that
into
beautiful-
trying to save this slate, but it's, the money just to take it off and get rid of it is almost the same as putting on a new roof. Those are the prices we're getting back, so.
That's crazy, okay.
If you
All
guys
right,
hear of anybody who wants a slate roof and they want to come take it, please.
Any other comments from you guys?
Just like to maybe see some of the sample board or whatever.
Sure.
sample- Yeah.
That's the color of
Twangy.
Hmm.
I'm actually still leaning towards the charcoal black, it's a little more gray, and then that's the Azek. And just the hardwood.
Portico is a standing seam metal roof, right?
I'm sorry?
This portico is a metal standing seam roof,
There'll be black standing seam on that roof, yeah.
and the other roof, right?
A little roof to the right, yeah. Again, that's to add that extra material, without adding too many materials.
Charcoal black is the,
Yeah.
and this is the hardy and the
That's-
trim?
Azek and hardy board.
So the detailing on that sort of cedar header above the window,
Yes.
is that going to be pronounced, or is
Well,
it just
it'll
going to be
stand-
like regular?
No, it'll actually stand proud of the wall by a ½ inch. See if we can get it to stand out a little bit further, but again,
Right.
then it goes back to the maintenance issue. We're gonna have to put some kind of flashing on top of it, so we don't have water getting behind it, so. But I do want it to punch out a little bit from the house.
Yeah, I think if it's just flat, like it's a regular piece of, window trim, I'm not sure that's going to be the desired
No,
effect
the
that you're
intention's
looking
to
for.
have it
You're
push
looking
out.
for this to be, almost like a,
Cylindrical or
a
some-
wood header, right?
Exactly
Like
what I'm
almost
looking
like
for,
a
yeah.
a beam.
Right, that's on an old
mimic
stucco
an old,
home, right,
Like barn beam, but.
yes. Same thing with the sills on the bottom, especially in the stuccoed area. The sill will be more pronounced, the window head will be more pronounced.
Are the window trim, is that PVC?
So no, I
Stucco.
don't want to do any trim around the window. I want to have stucco just return right onto the window on the stucco portions. On the PVC, well, on the hardy plank side, there will be a 4-inch trim band around it, just to give it a
Right.
clean place for the siding to die and end.
So no jams on the stucco?
No,
Just
no.
a sill and a head?
As a matter of fact, on this the little jewel, as I was trying to call it, as I was designing this thing, I don't even want corner boards on that. I'd like to
Yeah,
miter the
right.
corners, so this way it
Not wide
looks
enough.
clean. Right.
So the
Starts to get
front,
lost.
the front windows will be, or all the windows that are on the stucco portion of the home will be like masonry?
Yes,
Okay.
as far as the trim work. It'll just return right to the window.
In terms of your stain, I would go one shade darker, because as soon as the sun hits it, it's gonna be a lot lighter and a
Gotta be
lot
lighter.
more orangey than,
Yeah, it does have a bit of a twang to it, that color that's there. You need something a little,
A little darker.
Yeah.
a little
deeper.
darker.
Yeah. This is the homeowner's suggestion, so
Okay.
I present it to you, but of course, if they think dark, if you guys think darker, we'll try
And,
darker.
and it's got a real orange
Okay with that.
background in that
Sorry?
color. There's a real orangey base to this,
Yeah,
that when the sun hits it is gonna turn a lot lighter.
yeah, my original hope for it was gonna be more of like a walnut.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
wanted it
A
dark.
little bit warmer.
I wanted it dark,
A little
dark,
less
but,
orange.
They wanted it a bit brighter, so.
Well,
There's gotta be, I mean, there's clearly other
I
colors.
think that
There's a medium, happy
looks a
medium.
little
in there.
too,
teak supposed to be?
It really depends on,
Yeah.
iridescent.
it really depends on the wood, actually the stain on the wood.
Right, that's the
I'm
other
not
thing
sure
too.
if that sample is it on cedar?
I'm not sure what it's on. That's the color that they wanted
And
to
if you
do,
do,
but
and if you do 2 or 3 coats, it'll be darker and darker.
it'll darken up, right?
That's like a semi-transparent.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what that was.
Yeah, I think if you're looking to sort of mimic,
That's not what I
you know,
know as
like a
mahogany, but
reclaimed
this
sort of
color looks
barnwood
good.
It's
look,
darker.
right? Like, is that,
That's the look that I was going for, and then the owner wanted something a little lighter. That's what you're looking at here. But yes, ultimately, I wanted more of the reclaimed, you know, barnwood look. Have something a little darker, maybe not as
yeah,
like this, but more along the lines of this than that lightness. But that's really what the owners wanted.
This is,
So there's that fine line, right, of what I want and what they want to pay for.
Honestly, this is the color most people do. And when that farm-style home, and they have the wood elements, it's this color. It's
Yeah.
not more of the walnut.
Yeah, that's, like I said, that's what I wanted.
Looking at this sample board here, the mahogany color, this to me is not what I, in my brain, think of as mahogany. It's much redder and much darker, but this mahogany looks more like, I don't know, I think it would work better. That's, well, this is mahogany stain on Ipe, but it still looks, I think
Well,
that's
listen,
a
I think it's,
suggestion.
Sure.
this is not the, you know, this is not the best way to do this and pick it, right? Like, if it was my house,
Samples on
I
the
would
board.
certainly get the piece of wood.
Stain
I
it.
would probably have a half a dozen different stains on it.
100%.
You'd look at it against the white background, and you'd pick the best one in
Yeah.
natural daylight.
I think
I think-
for this forum, we wanted to present to you what the owner's
I got it.
thought and idea was. We tried to render it the best we could to give you an idea of what
What
we
the
think it'll
goal
look like.
is.
But I think ultimately, Enda's right on the money. We'll probably do 3 or 4 panels, put them up at the house once the siding is up.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we'll decide. But at a minimum, we wanted to at least present you with a
Yeah,
stain
the
that's not gonna be,
idea and where
right.
you're going.
It's not pink.
Right, so
It's not blue, right?
I think that the intent, right, is to have it look more natural and more like
Correct.
like a piece of wood.
Right.
Right?
Right,
That's gonna
exactly right.
weather and it's gonna look good.
Exactly right.
As opposed to something that is unnatural and not the real thing.
Yeah, you're right on
So-
the money.
Okay.
So that was the hope and the intent.
And this lot it's between 2 homes, so you don't have to worry. And does it sit, I know there was things about setbacks and whatever, but in terms of how it sits along the
So
road,
the average alignment from the 2 neighbors, it sits right in a line with it, and we're not pushing out any further other than the portico.
okay,
And again, even that isn't set any further than the house to the left. So
okay. So
the
it's-
idea was to just give it a little
And
character.
basically, it's where the other one was, or is.
Exactly where it was, yeah. Yeah, this
Okay.
facade doesn't move, it just gets refaced. All of this is existing, it's literally the portico and the colonnade is being added to the front. Everything else was there already.
Okay.
And you're proposing like this new 12 by 26 pool, that's new in the backyard?
That's new, that was actually a 15 by 30 proposal to the zoning board, and we took it in to 12 by 26 to eliminate one of the setbacks. So rather than ask for 2 setbacks, one on each side, we took one away from the rear of the house, and then also by shrinking it and kicking it over to the right, we minimized from 6 foot, we were asking for 6 foot setbacks, front, side, and back, and we ended up 9 and 10. So
Right.
by shrinking it, we pushed it closer to the garage and closer to the house, and actually made it smaller and it fits better.
So that obviously needs a fence around it. Where is the fence?
So right now, the fence that exists actually runs down the side of the driveway, right back to the garage, and the whole yard is enclosed. There's a fence on the property now, there's a 6-foot fence that literally comes across the back of the garage, down here, and then ties back into the side of the house. And then from the face of the garage, it comes to the corner of the house,
But
so
does
that's
that fence meet
literally all
pool-
fenced
Does
in.
that fence meet pool requirements?
It has to, we would not
It has
issue
to,
a
or they won't give
permit.
us a permit.
Very thorough
not
with
many do.
reviews of pools.
No, there's still work to be done with the building department. We're gonna be proposing
Right,
gates and latches and all of that, the
Yeah,
alarm
that's a big-
systems that are required, that's all coming,
that's a big deal.
yeah. But yes, it's all, that section of the yard is literally gonna be enclosed. Right now, there's, like I said, 6-foot fence on 2 sides, there's a 4-foot fence going from the house to the garage, that encloses off the 3rd side. The house is the 4th side, and then we just need to make it conform to all the codes, whatever we
And I
need.
might have missed it, what's the material of the fence? It's just chain link?
The fence that's there now?
Yeah.
There's actually a cedar fence there
Oh,
now.
okay, okay.
That was kind of the catalyst for the cedar. As
Okay.
a matter of fact, the stain color on the cedar fence is what dictated the cedar color here. So that's where the stain color is coming from. So they are tying it back to what's already there.
So
And it's
that
nice,
fence is stained,
It's stained.
and it's wood.
It's wood. Cedar.
Okay. Any other questions, folks? Open up to the public meeting?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to open up application 22-38 for 54 Stratford Road for a public hearing. Is there anyone here that has any questions or comments from the, no? Anybody here for that application? All righty, we said to move it along. I'll close that. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for application 22-38, 54 Stratford Road.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. So then I'd like to make a motion to send application 22-38, 54 Stratford Road, along to the planning board with the recommendation of approval. Margaret, the comments are?
Subject to these recommendations, so the board recommended that the colonnade be cedar as well to tie into the portico, to make the dormer either all stucco or all hardy plank, so that it doesn't look like you enclosed an existing balcony. It was recommended that you use a stone that has a warm tone in it to better correspond with the teak color. Also consider a maintenance-free type of cedar trim material of some sort, just consider that. And also, the board recommended that the teak stain potentially be one shade darker or deeper than is proposed or that was shown on the sample. And I believe that was the extent of them.
Was there anything mentioned about the, I'm sorry, the bump out, that looks like a balcony? And
Yes, I mentioned that,
All
yeah.
right,
Just
sorry
to be
about that.
continued.
That's okay.
I missed it. Went right over my head. Okay, so that was my motion. Second, anyone?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
And next up tonight, we have application 22-42 for 883 California Road.
See you.
Maple.
Be careful.
That's okay.
Hi, good evening. Dropping things. My name is Cardinal Smith Dugal. This is my husband Ryan. We are the homeowners at 883 California Road. Stephanie, our architect who prepared this for us, could not be here this evening, so we will probably not do as well as the gentleman before us, but we will do our best. So we are here at the Architectural Review Board for a retaining wall that is over 6 feet. The back of the property is higher than our neighboring properties. The existing retaining wall at the rear and side of the property needs to be replaced because of an undersized footing and cracking that has occurred. The proposed retaining wall will range from 3 feet 6 inches high to 8 feet 6 inches high and is highlighted in orange on the plan. A 6-foot-high fence will be mounted on top of the retaining wall to enclose a pool that is in the backyard. We've already received a variance for the height of the wall and the fence. Aesthetically, in order to break up the height of the retaining wall, the bottom portion will be constructed out of 12-inch deep concrete block, and the top will step back 2 inches, being constructed of 10-inch concrete block. There will be a smooth stucco finish over the block that will be painted. That's it.
Very good.
Thank you.
And I'm sure the people at home appreciate that they can hear you, that you didn't mumble.
Thank you.
All righty. So did you, by any chance, bring a sample board of the materials?
Yeah, for the.
For the wall, the fence?
Yes, so, what we have here. Sorry, the fence itself will be a vinyl
Okay,
fence.
keep the mic with you.
Apologies. The fence itself, hold it. The fence itself will be a typical vinyl fence. And then what we have here is a picture of, what the fence would look like, the typical fence. It'll be gray in color. And then a paint swatch here, which we can show you of, Benjamin Moore gray paint of what the wall would be painted to match the vinyl fence.
Okay. So it's pretty monochromatic.
Right.
And in the photos of the, right now, let's say, the project site photos, the view of the existing retaining wall at the rear property line from the neighboring yard. Okay, so will that be higher now? The new wall will be higher than that?
Yes, that's correct.
So basically, all around, it'll be higher than it is now.
Yeah, that's correct. And it'll be different heights on different ends of the property.
Depending on the,
Yeah, because there's a gradient. It slopes.
So are they raising the grade? Is that why you're redoing the wall? Why is the wall going higher?
So just different layers. It would, at the end of the day, it'll be one level. The fence on top of that.
No, but there's an existing wall right now.
Correct.
And
There is
the- And
existing.
new wall's going higher. Why is it going higher?
Because the footing, so they have to remove the old wall to entertain a new footing and a wall.
I understand that, but that has nothing to do with the overall height
Oh,
of the wall.
the level of the pool. It has, so
So you're raising the grade around the pool?
correct.
raising the grade or lowering the grade around the pool and then raising it behind the wall?
Yeah, they're raising the grade for the pool, then the wall is coming to the top to meet the grade, basically,
correct.
then with the fence on
Then the
top of
fence
the
on
wall.
top of that.
So
Okay.
yeah. And I think you understand this, the wall has been approved in terms of the height of the wall. The height of the fence has been approved, but the zoning law says any wall that exceeds 6 foot high needs also architectural review and planning board approval in terms of the aesthetics of the wall.
What's behind the wall? Another home?
Another property.
Yeah, another property. It's-
Yes, another
And I think those homeowners may be here tonight too, but so this is the adjacent yard here.
Right, if you look at the aerial
It's
view.
the neighbor there.
And that's what it looks like now.
And so again, in my meeting
Is
notes,
there
I did-
But
existing- is there
they
existing
are-
fence- Is there existing fence on the wall now?
No,
You have to do one because of the pool.
correct.
But why does it have to be a 6-foot fence? Pool fence only has to be 4 feet, I think.
but
I'm just thinking if I was your neighbor behind you, now staring at an 8-foot, a 14-foot wall, basically.
but again, the variance was granted, so you're allowed to have a 6-foot wall in a rear property. So So, and then, but technically, you're not supposed to have a higher than a combination of 6 plus 4, so a 10-foot combination between a wall and a fence. Their wall is, as I said, sort of ranges from 3'8" to 8'6", and so they're putting a 6-foot high fence to enclose their yard, but that's what they did receive a variance for.
Also, this is really the property that is,
It's the one on the side. They're surrounded by 3 sides. So the aerial view, right?
Yep.
This shot, that doesn't obviously show the pool, right? That's in that little sort of L-shaped, right behind the garage,
Correct.
right here, right? Right, so that's where the pool's going. So this is your retaining wall.
so the other neighbor has a pool on the
Yeah.
other side?
Yeah,
Yes, behind us,
Those are the
you got
neighbors
pools
next.
on both sides.
both sides. Both of our neighbors have pools.
And
Yes.
that's your,
Yeah, and listen, I think
Well, it goes from 3
you know,
foot to 8. It
the higher the wall, the
steps, so
better,
the highest
in my
is
opinion.
More
8
privacy.
foot,
Yeah,
and the lowest
exactly.
it's 3 foot, depending on the grades.
As long as it looks nice, then I think it's a win-win.
and the garage does take up quite a bit of your
Yes.
yard.
Indeed,
It's almost as big as the house.
indeed.
I think the previous owners used it for construction equipment, right?
That's right.
Do you also, or? No, storage. That's a lot of storage. You don't put cars in there at all, even when it snows, or?
No. Occasionally.
A lot of blow-up pool toys.
That's right.
Okay,
Okay, we'll open up the
yeah,
public hearing.
this is also.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to open up application 22-42, located at 883 California Road, to the public. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody here that would like to speak on behalf
Please
of this?
come up and list your name and address as well.
Yes. Right here, so they have a pool.
Yeah, hello, my name's Michael Mocha. I live at 150 Highland. I'm the pool next to the Dougal's pool.
Okay,
I have no, look, I know the wall has to get built. My only objection to anything is I don't want the fence on top of the wall. The fence should be on the same elevation as the pool deck, okay? Where every other pool, I have a fence on my pool, it's on my pool deck. All right, having an 8'6" wall and then another 6 foot of fence on top of it is kind of, it's gonna be overbearing if you ask me, all right? I don't understand why the fence can't be just inside the wall on the pool deck. The other reason I don't want it on top of the wall is, vinyl fences, after they get beat up in the winter, and you have issues with weather and wind, they all become wobbly. How is that wall gonna be maintained? All right? There's gonna be some type of knee wall there where you have a pool deck, and then you have, do you guys know the elevation of the top of the wall versus the pool deck? Do you have it on any drawings?
Let me see if it's here.
8'4" to the top of the retaining wall.
Okay, so what elevation is the pool deck at?
Oh, that's at the highest. That's at the highest elevation. So it looks like it, because I guess you have a sloping grade. So on the highest, it's 8'4". On the lowest side, it's probably just over 3 feet.
No, I understand that,
So
but
their
on the
pool
other
is-
side,
I think their pool adjacent to the wall is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is just flush with the grass on that side, right? You don't have a deck or a patio or anything. So it's, my understanding is it's flush with the grass, and then the top of the wall is basically at that same elevation.
I don't know if it's.
but aren't you putting pavers around the pool?
I guess this is around, no, that's around.
Is this not approved?
So there's no, so what about water coming off the wall then? All the water's gonna come?
So if I may.
Yes.
So there's a linear patio drain that's just behind the retaining wall, which is why we're mounting the fence on top and not behind.
So,
Is-
just so I did let the architect know what your concerns were with regard to drainage issues, with regard to the stability of the fence, et cetera, and asked her to address that. And in her response to me, she did say that there is a proposed, I have it in my notes here, sorry. So they do have a proposed drain that's running the entire length of the retaining wall there, that's set right in on the retaining wall. And then she provided a letter from an engineer and a detail showing how the fence was installed within the wall, just to ensure its stability.
I was going to ask that, if it was surface mount or if it was going to be.
There's a detail in here that shows that. So again, that doesn't preclude somebody from saying the fence needs to be set back, but it was something they tried to address.
What's the space between the retaining wall and the pool? 'Cause
That was
I
supposed
mean,
to be
it's-
9 feet, and it
Well,
wound up being
it-
6'7".
Yeah, I was
And
at
no
the-
one
I
has
was-
an
I was
answer
at
to
the-
how
I was
that
at the-
happened.
I was at that zoning board meeting.
Okay.
So I
Does
saw.
anybody know how that happened?
I saw what happened.
Applied
Well,
for a
I-
variance.
No, there was no, the variance was to 9 feet. The pool got set at 6'7".
Then they reapplied for another
There's a
variance.
previous
Of
issue.
course they came for a variance, because the
I might-
pool was in the ground already.
I'm just trying to make everybody happy, in
Just
my
trying
opinion,
to-
right? So we have to build a new
Lists
wall,
facts, that's all.
right?
I'm
Because
not
because of elevation, grade and elevation. So, again, I always tell people, reverse roles. I wouldn't want to stare at a 14-foot wall. So if there's any way of, and I don't know why, I know you said zoning approved a 6-foot fence, but I don't know why there's a need for a 6-foot fence when there's no way anybody could see them, right?
Well, no, I mean, there's two comments. One, I can see why, from the property owner's perspective, people like a 6-foot fence in their rear yard, so that their heads aren't over the fence, so that they have some privacy. But again, the height of the fence has already been approved, so
Well,
there.
it's just the location of the fence.
Okay, so then that's a different discussion than
So, all right,
asking
so
why they need
instead of
a
having
6-foot
an
fence.
8-foot
They
wall
were
and
approved to have a
6-foot,
6-foot
vertical
fence.
14-foot, is there any way of shifting the 6-foot fence in, so you, that helps the situation? And then
That's what
maybe
that's what I'm
somebody-
saying.
That's what he's asking.
Maybe somebody, the owner of that property, or it's really your property, you could plant something behind the fence, so you don't really stare at a vinyl fence as well, for example.
I'm not asking you guys to set the fence back, okay? I've had this conversation with Margaret, okay? She told me there's some zoning law or where the fence has to be 5 foot away from the property line. And I told her, Margaret, absolutely not. I don't want that, okay? My question is this. If you're telling me your pool deck is at the same elevation at that top wall, if that's the case, then put the fence on the wall, okay? But if there is a knee wall, if anyone knows what that is, okay? If there's a knee wall there, then the fence should be butt up against the knee wall just inside their property. Please, do not make them put that fence 5 feet away from the property. We're not asking for that. We're just asking that if there's a difference in elevation, then the pool belongs, that fence belongs at that pool deck elevation. So that's just gonna be a straight, flat pavers and then a wall down, that's it.
There is a detail here where you can see, so the grade is essentially flush with the top of the wall. And do you want to look at the application here?
Yeah,
In fact, you
it
could even
does.
take this one.
It does, it is drawn straight or level, but it does,
Well, it's sloping slightly to go into the drain.
and I think the knee wall you're referring to is the spa, right? So I guess it,
No, I think
No, I'm all right,
he's
so
assuming
on
the
this-
top of the retaining wall is up.
This drawing shows it, okay? So, and there will be the drain right there. That's gonna be
Yes,
the
so that's the
drain?
drain running the
Okay.
length of the wall.
All right, so I didn't see this elevation of it, so I guess really,
there's no,
yeah. I got, there's no, it can't go, you can't, I thought there was some type of like knee wall there.
Right, that
Something
you
like
could-
this. This
you-
is the wall,
Right.
this is the pool deck.
You could put it on
there.
that side.
You can't pull it in, so, all right, so.
and you're very, obviously 6'7" on the inside, like you don't have a tremendous amount
No,
of space.
of course not, of course not. I can have this?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so, that being said, now that I see this,
If you could go back to the mic, that would be helpful.
Okay, I did not have this detail, which I have now. So, again, the fence will go as planned.
Okay.
All right, I just thought there was some type of way where it would be just inside the property line and down maybe a few, 5, 6, 7 inches. So that's not gonna happen, so,
Okay.
he's got a job ahead of him, I tell you that much, so, all right. Wait, oh, yeah, oh.
My wife Patty, how are you? I just have a question. I mean, can we have any photos of what it's going to look like? And maybe that's in your pictures, I don't know, but I'd just like to see, like, a drawing, like, color-wise. I mean, and they're going to come onto
Well, she
our
gave-
property to do the wall,
Well,
so
we gotta
I'd like
figure
to be
all that out.
notified when they're going to be coming on our
Well,
property.
within the set of plans
just
that
putting
you
that
have
on
there, I
record, that's
think
all.
there is a color thing at the back, no? Or that's not the same?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the entire application, then you
When
can
we're finished
see-
with the meeting, you'll have the copy of the application, which does have a color thing on it.
Okay, 'cause it'd just be nice to see what, like, the whole pictures looks like.
Yes, excuse me for 1 second.
Yeah.
And when is the time of construction supposed to happen?
From the property line.
Sorry, I can't
When you
answer
get
that.
approval? What was your time frame? Just saying, how long it would take to complete? They went through the whole year with,
Build it from up here, you have to move them
the
down
way
here.
it was.
It's CMU's.
It's gotta get
We didn't
done.
ask for a wall to be broken. We would just
No.
want to
Apparently, your engineer, architect, didn't do the right thing by you.
A cat.
They're setting it back so it doesn't read as tall, I guess.
But is it gonna be stucco, or what is it?
Well, it's gonna be stucco and then painted that color.
Repaint stucco?
Stucco, painted
And
that
is there
color.
gonna be weeping holes in the stucco? How are they doing
We're
that?
gonna do it today.
Drainage on the side, drainage in the wall?
Yeah, the water goes this way to their property.
How are you gonna get in and out of there to do the work on my property? I'm just wondering, how are you coming in?
All right, I think.
Okay,
I think we're good, thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Listen, you guys.
Okay,
Oh, I know.
so,
This is all wrong. There's no way.
I know.
This should be 8 foot.
it's going along, right?
We don't have a wall this big and that's what
With the foot that small.
Are there any
moment.
other
Yes.
questions or comments from
Yes,
the
we have a
board?
question about the footing.
Okay.
Because
Can I close the public hearing for that?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion.
They're ready to go on the pool, the undermining pool.
Please remain. You're not finished. I'm sorry. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing of application 22-42. Second that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's for the public hearing. Now, we do have additional questions for you from the board. What was your question, Cilio?
I'm just talking about a construction standpoint. There's no way that an 8-foot-high wall has a 4-foot wide footing. So you have to just make sure that's correct, because that wall is supporting a lot of overturning moment. And I know why the architect only drew a 4-foot footing is because the further they go, they're gonna be going under the pool.
Yeah, you're going to compromise the integrity.
These are reviewed by a licensed engineer and a licensed architect that are our plan reviewers, and this is for aesthetics of the wall. I just want to be clear that we're not, again, construction details are submitted to the building department. We have a licensed engineer and a licensed architect that review the plans to ensure that they comply with all the requirements of the New York State Building Code.
Okay. So you don't get a crack in it again.
Well, it is tight quarters, and I think it's,
I'm sorry, but the public hearing is closed, so
And again, even though
you can ask the applicant questions later, or you can ask more questions at the planning board.
or anything about the
Can I ask you one more question? What is the next step? I mean, when can they start this?
So when
still
I
have to
just
go to
say,
the
so
planning
they'll go to the planning board at the end of of February, so that I believe is February 23rd. It'll be a very similar meeting. The only thing the planning board is looking at is basically the aesthetics of the wall and potentially the location of the fence. They'll want to understand how the drainage works. If the planning board were to approve it on the 23rd, they can submit an application for a building permit on the 24th. It's reviewed again by an engineer and an architect. That process for this may take a week, depending on the level of detail in the drawing. So they'd probably have a permit within 2 weeks after, early March.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, any other questions aesthetically, guys?
No.
So then I'd like to make a motion to send application 22-42 along to the planning board with a recommendation for approval.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, me too.
And our last item on the agenda this evening is application 23-03, Sephora at 670 White Plains Road. Please set up your drawings on the easel.
I think they're using a
PowerPoint.
laptop.
Oh, okay.
Hello, I'm Cindy from Sephora, and this is our architectural partner, Nicole from OLA Architects. And we're coming before the board today for a previously approved storefront where we would like to have the materials amended. So not the design, but the materials themselves being altered for value engineering. So the landlord had previously come to the board to have our storefront designed and built by landlord. And the previously approved storefront had MP paneling over the existing brick facade, as well as black and white stone stripes on the side. Our storefront that we're proposing is, instead of the MP paneling, we're going to skim coat the brick to black, and our colors are we have a Benjamin Moore color palette, and the striping on the side will now be skim coat black and white. Looking at other buildings in the center, I think it'll complement it well. Most of the other buildings are also stucco paint, so I think it'll blend nicely. It won't stand out as much as being different. So right here, previously approved, was from the landlord architects. And then ours, can you show our? And then this is our design. So again, exact same concept design-wise, just value engineered materials.
So this is all VE driven, right? Like,
It's all VE driven. So originally the storefront was by landlord, and then it transferred to Sephora and was value engineered after the fact. So.
I do remember this, and I did feel it was very expensive. But again, to that point, there was a strong reference made that this was the Sephora brand. This, I'm familiar with the stores. I've been in one or two, and I think all of the stores have the marble and the panels, right? Like it's a very specific to the brand and the architecture. So,
Yeah, we have a couple of different established materials that we use. We do have the stone, black and white. We have a Corian finish. We have MP panel, and we do have paint. So our stores, depending on location, we do have a variety we choose from, and it's usually based on cost for different markets. So our market in Nebraska is very different than upstate New York for value engineering. I visited the site, and I think, you know, MP paneling is very nice, but I also know that the having the skim coat black paint will blend in nicely with the existing stores that are right next to us.
So I know that this property right now is kind of being cobbled together between two things. And one is stucco, but the other one is brick. So how do you get that all evened out?
So right now, the landlord has removed stucco on the second half. So the storefront behind the current
Curtain.
barricade curtain, it's been stripped down to the
brick?
To the brick. Yep.
So it will be all one level?
It will be all one level.
Then, will you have any kind of score lines, the way the metal was? Will there be some sort of,
A scoring in between?
Yeah.
Nope. It'll be smooth, the entire facade.
'cause I think that kind of added to it. It just gave it some,
Presents.
Fenestration.
yeah.
We could look at scoring that if you'd like, within the coat.
So the two columns are represented in stone now, that they, you know, they're proud of the stucco on both sides. Are you gonna fabricate that, or it's not gonna have that
So
detail?
now it'll be smooth
Well,
on both sides. Yep.
Lost all this detail.
Yeah.
It doesn't come, we don't have a little bump out there, do we? No.
Easy to see in the
That's
rendering.
really,
It's very one-dimensional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's flat.
I'm a little, like, I understand, I get it, right? But it's, you've gone from the richness of what your brand is all about, to now basically, you know, just painting something that's flat. And
like you knocked yourself off.
the concern is how this is gonna look. Are you looking to just replicate, you know, your standard Sephora shop front, right? Which is what it is. It's got the two zebra black and white columns and the flat, you know, facade above you know, the crossbar, so to speak. I'm just a little concerned that you're looking to replicate that, but you're just looking to paint, that on.
Yep, it's very similar to the other stores, the higher-end stores like Talbot and Nike that are in the same center. The value engineering was extreme. The cost for the MP paneling, which was a huge factor for us continuing the project. For us, it's going to look beautiful. The black and white stripes aren't going to
But
But it's one-dimensional.
yeah, and when I
Flat.
look at this, and actually, you know, even looking at your temporary signage right now that's on the barricade, I'm really concerned that it looks like it looks like a billboard, especially that it is flat like that. And I know that this, I don't know how you got, like, I guess this is the one that from the previously approved.
Yeah.
And then this is this one. All of a sudden, the letters got big again.
That I did include in my notes, that the
Yes,
sign was
I
approved.
understand,
Yeah.
but the impact of this is, you're looking at me like you didn't even notice that, or you didn't know that about that, or?
So I know last week there was another meeting with the signage variance that came in, but this was.
Last month, but
Last
yes.
month. But this was already submitted before that
Okay,
package was reviewed.
all right. So, that will look significantly different But by painting everything, it in effect makes the whole storefront a sign to me. That's what it kind of does, and that's not what we want to do. But with the previous thing, it was like a construction. It was you know, a high-grade finish on the building. And then there were some letters that made a sign, a pin-mounted letters. This just creates like this, I mean, you could do this thing in vinyl on top of like the way the barricade is now. And it's, that would be the equivalent. It just doesn't read as, at least give the columns some depth to them.
Could you compromise, at least giving dimension to the lettering and the columns?
The letterings will have,
That will
do have,
okay, and
do
where
have
would,
depth.
and how are they gonna be lit?
They are internally illuminated channel letters, right, which
Yeah,
are
so this-
pin mounted.
okay,
yeah.
So
All
there's,
right.
there's no raceway, there's no, but they're not this big. They are 18
No, they're
inches
18
high.
inches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the whole look is more like the barricade than, in terms of, and it's much more delicate looking. That part I'm fine with, but to do this with paint just really makes the whole storefront look like a billboard.
Yeah.
Just doesn't have any
Right, like, don't you
class.
agree, like, you're a luxury brand, right? Like, you're looking to, you know, you're looking to appeal to a certain clientele, right? Like, everybody knows your store. Again, I was here for the last time this was presented to this board, and I do recall that a big part of the selling feature was the luxury brand, and you know that from the minute you see the store and the high-end finishes. And I understand that everything is financially driven, and
But, you know,
seeing
when
the
you-
landlord, excuse me, the landlord is not paying for this, so, you know, it's back to zero. I get it, but, you know, you've eliminated the, you know, the whole sort of ambiance of seeing the store, number one, which is a big concern of ours. And then, obviously, the experience of entering into the store, you don't have any sort of a soffit now, which was part of the design before.
No, that's
We do
still
have a
there.
soffit.
Again,
So-
there's a summary sheet of the changes on the cover and in the meeting notes, but the canopy is still there, that entrance. So the only change is the paint of the facade and the paint of the columns. But the
I think-
signage
I think
remains
that-
the same.
But this is the new one, or this is the old?
The canopy's on both. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's on both.
Pardon me?
Right now you're in the old one.
Okay.
And you can see it to
So
an
do we
extent
have a
on the,
3D version of the?
it's at a different
new
angle,
one?
that's the problem, is that
So that protrudes still somehow? How's it protrude? If they
the
don't paint-
canopy protrudes the same way. That's still a metal canopy, so there will remain black, let's see.
We still
New
have that
metal
metal
panel
panel.
awning will
Painted-
remain.
Painted black, the brick to be painted black.
No, so the
The MP paneling is
this
still on
part
the
is black,
canopy.
paint. This part will be paint columns, this is what they're proposing. This canopy here will remain as a metal canopy on both. So there'll still be the metal overhang, the awning.
Yeah, so it's not a completely flat facade. We still do have the metal.
But the bump out for the columns is not there.
Yeah, I think without that, I
Yeah.
think, you know, it's just, you're painting a flat
Yeah, that's what I
wall.
think.
And before, when you, I don't know, you were talking about different locations and out in, I don't know, East Jabib, and I think you referred to this as upstate New York. This is not upstate New York. Upstate New York is Albany. This is Westchester County, known as the Golden Apple. It's not, you know, East Jabib. So, like, I don't know why you're toning down this, you know, kind of
Well,
thinking that it's.
you do know why. Because it's
Well,
financially
for
driven.
financial, but still, like, you still gotta go
Well, I know it's
a bit
financial,
more
but,
than
so,
this.
you know, it's, you know, Eastchester shouldn't get hurt because of, they
Right.
don't want to spend $1 million on a front elevation,
Right.
which is their brand.
Yeah, this, this looks cheap, I'm sorry to say that, but,
I think you might need like a happy medium between the two. I understand, I think you should minimally build the columns, maybe
Right.
add a metal framing and stucco, and you could, make reveals, like so you have a reveal between black and white, and then it could be painted.
Right.
Because I know the stonework is probably a lot of money itself.
Yeah,
But having the column protrude beyond the left and right of the other buildings, even if it's 3 inches, so you
Right.
have the color return as well, and then it could just be done in stucco, and it could score
Right.
every 12
Right.
inches a line, and then paint between.
Yeah.
Not just painting it one-dimensional I think is ridiculous.
then
to be
that's
honest.
something,
I don't
that's
think we
something we would consider, but personally speaking, what you're proposing, I'm totally opposed to that, because it's not in keeping with where we live and what I want to see. So I would be open to that as some sort of a compromise.
So for us, just talking about the different materials, we do have different types of stores. We have outdoor mall, we have indoor mall, all have different materials. Outdoor malls, we're just starting to get into, so it's not our normal, we're calling them DOM, so people can shop from outside, not have to go into malls. Our pricing for construction is less for these. I think at this site with our columns, I think we're right at the property line where it's built, so I don't think we can bump out more than it
What were you
is
doing
right now.
Yeah.
Sorry. I do want to add that we do have standard paint. Like, paint is also a standard. It's not just the stone. So it's not going to be the first store with paint. So to go to that point. And then, we will have to double check if we can bump out, because I think we're in the limit. And also with the storefront system, we do have a little bit of depth. So with the glass system, and obviously, yes, it's paint, so we will have that, but then we also have the bumped out of the
Canopy?
Of the canopy. Thank you.
We understand that there is some depth and some variation within the storefront, but this big wall that takes up the whole frontage of the thing, somehow they previously got approval for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a little confusion, and even I was confused, even though I understood what you're proposing, because of the angle of the drawings that was provided, even I wasn't clear that you weren't planning to build out the columns. So in the original proposal, you do have columns. So you do have the area to build out those columns, unless we're missing something, because it sounds like you're saying now, what looks like columns on this elevation is just going to be flush.
Yeah.
But on this, what was previously approved, they
Like a pilaster.
clearly bumped out. So,
So the right side is still bumped out, and it does have a small return on that side. Do we have the plans? So always on the left, if you look at the 3D, it was more flush with the first building, since this is 2 storefronts that were kind of
so
built into the
in
same.
what you're proposing now, are you still going to have this type
There's
of
still going to be a
detail?
small return. It's really,
But different than the return that's being shown here? Less
On-
than the return that's being shown in the original
So the
proposal?
return is fabricated. It's not just
not
applied
fabri-
paint.
it's not fabricated, it's just part of the first and secondary storefronts where they
way
come
that it
together. Do we have our plan?
You mean that's like score line in the bricks?
We can skim coat and then score. If you'd like the scoring, we can also just paint the bricks. So the brick has black paint and you see the black brick behind it, but I don't think that would look
No.
very well.
We're
But
looking for something with dimension.
then we can also, with the columns, we can create scores between the paint lines if that's the type of depth we can get that will simulate having the
But
stone.
we want that corner to stick out, is what we're saying.
We should build pilasters.
Yeah, you need to be able to
You need to
define
frame,
the
you need to
space.
frame the picture.
You need to be able to define the left and right of the space, and yes, these are considered pilasters. They have to be framed out, they have to be proud of the flat surface of the storefront. They can't be just painted on. That's not acceptable to me personally.
Okay.
So those pilasters have to be built out, and to my colleague's point,
yes.
if the black and the white can be defined by some sort of a reveal in some sort of a stuccoed pilaster on each side, then I think that's something we're willing to, we're willing
Next
to look
page,
at.
there is a-
But
shows you
painting
the
that
bump
on
out.
in black and white stripes,
Oh, that much? That's a foot.
I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. And that's me being honest.
And there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, well,
But those
that
are the
remains,
black,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
All this is still new to force the storefront, right?
In the picture, you can see that the other store is a little bit behind, so the column would be sticking out from the other store. So here.
On the right-hand
left
side.
I'm talking about the left side right now.
No, that's
No, on the right-hand side.
The right side, because the store does that itself.
Yes, so.
Right. But on the right side, in the original proposal, it's proud, probably 3 inches, because you have a return. So that's what we're saying. Build 2 pilasters, even if they're,
Up at the top, it's 3 inches. At the bottom, it looks like a foot.
On the right side.
Here.
No, he's
Yeah,
talking
right,
about the left
right.
side.
I'm talking
yeah.
about this side, the
Is
opposite
that from
side.
the
Yeah,
original
but-
landlord drawings?
But we need to be mindful that we're assuming this, this rendering is drawn correct. Like, you really need to be working off the detail.
No, but I'm looking at the old rendering. Not the, I don't have a new rendering that shows me a
Right, well,
plan.
that's,
but it's-
So, and this is this, and
Right, but that's still protrude, so they're
Yeah,
actually
right.
building a pilaster. They're building a 2-foot-4 pilaster on both sides, basically, going up the height of Sephora. And then they were applying stone to that.
right.
So build the pilasters and do them in stucco with a reveal and paint them black and white. And save, I don't know, $100,000 in stonework. And paint the center black, brick, instead of doing these panels that are another $100,000.
yeah, there's a happy medium.
Yeah.
But we need the ins and outs of the building to remain as the approved storefront. It's understandable that you need to change the materials, but we can't let it just all of a sudden be flat
Be a paint job.
and be, completely painted. It's just not working for us.
It's a mural.
So,
Yeah.
It's a,
So
The billboard.
adding scores, if you can explain exactly what changes we need to make with the left-hand side versus the right-hand side and how it's built, that would be very helpful.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, so
think
I
you have to
think
go
they're
back to
asking you
this.
to do exactly what you proposed previously in terms of building out the pilasters, but instead of putting a stone veneer on them, put stucco and paint it black and white with scoring. But what they want is the dimension that's shown in these, so you would build a structural out
If you look on
to create
page
that
3
dimension.
of your
Previous,
packet,
Of the landlord's packet?
well, yeah, well, for us, it's all together, but, so page 3, it says page 3, proposed elevation enlarged plan, that upper sketch. It's that, yeah, right there, that part. So you see where on the one side, don't go too far down.
that's it,
That's it, that one, the sketch on the top of the page. If you can shift it over to the left just a tad. If you can see, the setback on the right-hand side is bigger, and the one on the left is smaller because of where the front elevation of the stores are, the opposing stores. but there's still definite ins and outs, and that's what we need to see on those,
Okay, we can
columns.
create that. That we can
With-
create with
yeah.
just how we put and we stucco the columns that they've put. Right now, it's basically bare. So if we need to bring it in to make it a reveal just by that few inches, that's very easy to do to accomplish what you're asking.
Well, this is not a few inches right now, the way it is, and we'd like to see it the way it is. See, because of the structure of the building, which they obviously know and they have on their plans, but that building at the bottom is
Set
somewhat
back.
set back here, and I'm assuming that that's not a good idea to do that, but that on the top here, it's somewhat the same, but at the bottom may be different. I believe, by looking at this other plan, that the buildings adjacent, the one on the right is set back a little bit more than the one on the left. But there is still a setback, and you're still gonna see that corner kind of creating the column. And we wanna see the new structure the same as this, in terms of structure. In terms of finish, we understand, but we'd like to see that, then we'd like to see the skim coat in the middle, that's fine, but give us some score lines. I think that it gives us a nice look to it, and if you're building out, you can do that with all sorts of things, like a little panel of styrofoam, whatever they use.
It's like probably ephes, that's
Yeah.
probably how
Yeah.
you would propose to build it.
And again, there should be real definition between the black and white, even a score line, something where,
Like a reveal, like a beveled reveal. It just can't be a paint job.
it's just not gonna, it's a billboard, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. We understand the cost of stone, but
So the center black portion is gonna be painted, the brick's gonna be painted black. That's what
Yep,
she was
so
saying.
we're
She
gonna
was
skim
saying
coat
skim
it.
coat.
Yeah, skim it.
And then,
Oh, skim coated also?
yep, skim
Yes.
coat
Yes.
also, and then scores
Okay.
to mimic what the MP
okay.
paneling
mimic
was.
that.
And is that like a flat? Is everything going to be flat? Is it going to be flat paint?
No, I've got
The
our
stucco?
sample Benjamin Moore black. Let's get that.
But
Right,
the-
but
the
is it-
finish, it's gonna be like a stucco finish, or a flat pebble finish, or a flat finish,
Well,
or,
no, I'm just talking about the finish. Is it going to be flat? Is it going to be like an
matte
eggshell
finish?
flat, or is it going to have some sort of a
Gloss?
sheen or gloss to it?
It's low gloss.
Do you have a?
Low
sample?
luster?
Oh, do I have it in here?
So, it's a brick building, right?
Yes.
So when they say skim coat, are you talking about
Plaster.
real concrete, like a California stucco skim coat? Like it's gonna be wire nailed,
Coat, yeah.
wire nailed to it in stucco? Or it's gonna be like an ephes system, like styrofoam?
No, stucco, right?
Yeah, it's just going to be stucco with
Yeah,
the,
so basically, what you're doing there, you'll build out a 4-inch deep by 2 foot 4 wide pilaster on the right and on the left. And then after that's built, then you'll do the same principle. You do the stucco on the columns. Just so you have, it basically mimics the original intent.
You just want to make sure you can get those reveals in between the keys, the black and the white.
yeah, we can score each of those and then paint after.
No, it's just,
It'll be, yeah, just,
it's like a little bevel, right? So you can leave.
like a chamfer, kind of a
Yeah.
little. Okay. Margaret,
I got the, I think as much discussion as you had, it's pretty clear
Yeah.
still.
but do we send this to the planning board, or this has to come back here? I think it's way too much to just move on to the planning board
Yeah, I think it has to come
with
back.
all these comments and
Yes.
whatever.
We want to make sure
have
that
to
it's
see it.
clear. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
So-
I'm sorry, but we have to see the changes before we can send it to the planning board. It's just not something that we can all visualize and, you know, and then it gets to the planning board, and it's not quite exactly what we had in mind.
And then
There's
there
just
should
too
be an
many-
actual architectural drawing showing it, not just a rendering, like a floor plan that we know that it's being built out, for example.
The detail, just like the other,
Yeah, the same detail, basically,
yeah.
but instead of being stone, it's gonna be stucco.
Right, you guys understand?
Okay, I understand. But I'll have to go back to see if we can even, if that's possible, by looking at the plans and how the as-built came from what we just got from the landlord, and discussing cost and how that's going to proceed. So, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So the next meeting is March 2nd?
We'll see. So,
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know how, I'll have to speak to our team to see if that's possible, or how we're able to proceed with the project.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. I'd like to also make a request that on your next presentation, that the lettering is 18 inches and it's placed on the rendering to scale. Okay? Thank you.
And you can kind of continue to coordinate with me if you like, and then also if there's issues with regard to timing and building permit issues and that kind of thing, you can discuss that with me as well. Okay, okay. No, I'll explain afterwards.
Okay.
Thank you.
You wanna-
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to, for this application to return to us at our next ARB meeting.
Second?
In favor?
Aye.
And I'd like to make a motion to close the ARB meeting for February 2023.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and
Thank
good
you
night.
very much.